Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadhanarandana Yashodanandana Brajadhanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadhanarandana Yashodanandana Brajadhanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jai Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radhe Radha, Jai Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radhe Radha, Madhava Radha Madhava. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaura Premanandi, Daya Vishnupada Paramahamsa, Pri Vrajagachaja Stotra Satta Sri Simad, His Divine Grace, Shirabayu Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, ISKCON BBT, Founder Acharyas, Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Harinam Sankirtana Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Jainitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurundiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhuktale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabhadutam Paritana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyayevasha Patitanam Papanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Ram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the Supremost Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Pranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasayanam Maha. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Mukam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. Today we continue from canto number 2. But we are beginning a new chapter, which is chapter 2, canto 2, chapter 2, entitled The Lord in the Heart. This is the ongoing conversation between Sri Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Pura Dharanayatma Yonir Nastam Smritim Pratyabaludhya Tustat Tatha Sasarjedam Amogha Dristir Yatha Prayat Prag Vyavasaya Buddhihi. Sri Shuka Uvacha. Evam puradharayanatmayonir nastam smritim pratyabarudhyatustat tatha sasarjedam amoga dristir Yatha Pyayat Prag Vyavasaya Buddhi. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Puradharayanat Mayonir Nastam smritim pratyabarudhyatustat tatha sasarjedam amoga dristir yatha pyayat prag vyavasaya buddhihi. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Puradharayanat Mayonir Nastam smritim pratyavarudhya tustat Tata sasarjedam amogadristera yathapya yathapyayat prag vyavasaya buddhihi. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Pura Dharayanatmayonir Nastam Smritim Pratyavarudhyatustat Tatha sasarjedamamogadristir Yatapyayat pragyavasaya buddhihi. Sri Shuka Uvacha. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, Evam, just in the same way, Pura, prior to the manifestation of the cosmos, Dharayana, Dharayanaya, different. By such a conception, Atmayoni of Brahmaji, Nastam, lost, Smritim, remembrance, Pratyavarudhya, by regaining consciousness, Tustat, because of appeasing the Lord, Tatha, thereafter, Sasarja, created, Idam, this material world, Amogadristihi, one who has attained clear vision. Yatha, as apyayat, created, prak, as formerly, vyavasaya, ascertained, buddhihi, intelligence. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, formerly, prior to the manifestation of the cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Rupa, regained his lost consciousness by appeasing the Lord. Thus he was able to rebuild the creation as it was before. Kindly repeat after me. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, formerly, prior to the manifestation of the cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Rupa, regained his lost consciousness by appeasing the Lord. Thus he was able to rebuild the creation as it was before. Purport. The example cited herein of Sri Brahmaji, is one of forgetfulness. Brahmaji is the incarnation of one of the mundane attributes of the Lord, being the incarnation of the passion mode of material nature. He is empowered by the Lord to generate the beautiful material manifestation. Yet, due to his being one of the numerous living entities, he is apt to forget the art of his creative energy. This forgetfulness of the living being, beginning from Brahma down to the lowest insignificant ant, is a tendency which can be counteracted by meditation on the Virat Rupa of the Lord. This chance is available in the human form of life, and if a human being follows the instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam and begins to meditate upon the Virat Rupa, then revival of his pure consciousness and counteraction of the tendency to forget his eternal relationship with the Lord can follow immediately, can follow simultaneously. Yeah. And as soon as this forgetfulness is removed, the Vyavasaya Buddhi, as mentioned here and in the Bhagavad Gita 2:41, follows at once. This ascertained knowledge of the living being leads to loving service to the Lord, which the living being requires. The kingdom of God is unlimited, and therefore the number of his assisting hands, the number of the assisting hands of the Lord is also unlimited. Bhagavad Gita 13:14 asserts that the Lord has his hands, legs, eyes, and mouths in every nook and corner of his creation. This means that the expansions of differentiated parts and parcels called jivas, or living entities, are assisting hands of the Lord, and all of them are meant for rendering a particular pattern of service to the Lord. The conditioned soul, even in the position of a Brahma, forgets this by the influence of illusory material energy generated out of false egoism. One can counteract such false egoism by invoking God consciousness. Liberation means getting out of the slumber of forgetfulness and becoming situated in the real loving service of the Lord, as exemplified in the case of Brahma. The service of Brahma is the sample of service in liberation, distinguished from the so-called altruistic services full of mistakes and forgetfulness. Liberation is never inaction, but a service without human mistakes. So the translation again, Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, formerly prior to the manifestation of the cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Rupa, achieved his lost consciousness by appeasing the Lord. Thus he was able to rebuild the creation as it was before. So, number of points are explained here. That even such a great personality as Lord Brahma, being a conditioned soul, anyone who comes in the material world is a conditioned soul. There are exceptions. We should not consider ourselves in the category of exceptions. Sometimes liberated souls do come, incarnations come, and sometimes Nitya Siddhas, eternally liberated souls come, especially when the Lord performs His pastimes. We were discussing the other day how 3 types of living entities assist the Lord in performing His pastimes. One being His eternal associates, others being demigods, and others being conditioned souls who are no longer conditioned in that they have taken up to the recommended process of devotional service, have again regained their full consciousness, and before going back to the spiritual world, this is the ordained system, before going back to the spiritual world, one who has attained this level of self-realization gets to be with the Lord in one of the innumerable planets where the Lord performs His pastime. And he participates in the Lord's pastime in the material world, and then goes back to the spiritual world. This is so the whole idea, the whole purpose, which is particularly given, or we could say, practically speaking, only given in the human form of life, and even more easily given in the human form of life than even in let's say, higher beings, such as demigods in the heavenly planets. The Earth planet is described as that ideal, most favorable place where one can revive one's God consciousness. It is explained how in the heavenly planets there's too much opportunity for sense enjoyment, sense gratification. One is living out one's good karma, and generally difficult. Those who go to the heavenly planets, they come back to the earthly planet. So it means that in this material world, on this earthly planet, this is the best place to actually awaken, reawaken. Krishna consciousness is all about becoming reawakened, realizing our original God consciousness. So here it mentions how the Lord was pleased. How was the Lord pleased? The Lord was pleased in regards to Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma performed tapasya. He performed tapasya for a very long period, And here it mentions how Lord Brahma was meditating on the Virat Rupa. And in the last previous chapter we have been reading, especially about this Virata Rupa, where Srila Shukadeva Goswami explains in detail. So it means that, two things can happen in interacting with the material nature. If we have a consciousness of wanting to enjoy independently, we will try to exploit and enjoy the material nature. But if we have a higher developed sense of understanding, we will develop an attitude of appreciation. How wonderful is this material creation, and how obvious it is that I'm not the one who has created this world. I am part of this whole manifestation, and I am totally controlled in so many ways. I'm controlled in unknown ways, isn't it? It is described how the duration of one's life is already determined and calculated from the moment we take our first breath. We have X number of, let's say, millions of breaths. I don't know if anyone has calculated how many breaths, let's say, an average person will take in his lifetime. So the material nature is orchestrated in such a perfect manner that actually those who study astrology, for example, one can know how many years one will be living. But most people don't want to know. Some people want to know. But it's already determined how long, and it's based on how many times we breathe. That's why we hear the description in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna explains the process, yogic process of controlling the breathing, both in terms of inhaling and in terms of exhaling, and in terms of coming to the point where one doesn't need to breathe anymore without dying. Most people who stop breathing, they die. But yogis, they learn the science of how to stop breathing. That's why we hear descriptions or explanation. Prabhupada himself mentions how Bhagavatam mentions as well, how there are certain personalities who are meditating in the Himalayas, waiting for this Kali Yuga to go by. And they will take up some particular role or responsibility beginning in Satya Yuga. After Kali Yuga is Satya Yuga, After today, the 10th of January is tomorrow, on a smaller scale. But those who are practiced in yoga, they can wait for next yuga like that. So this is also connected with especially those living entities who are very advanced, very self-realized, To become self-realized means to understand our position, to understand that the Lord is existing, and to understand His mission. So some living entities, they are fully in tune and fully surrendered to the mission of the Lord, and they are assisting the Lord in so many different ways, just like it's described that in the material world. Those different demigods, they are like helping in the management of the cosmic manifestation, because just like we know from our very tiny, limited experience, even to look after an apartment here, for example, requires a lot of effort if we do it properly. We can just neglect it, of course, and but then that's will not give a good result. What to speak of to look after a property, or to look after a village or a nation. What to speak of, to look after the whole cosmic manifestation. So the manus are described. They are particular, we could say, empowered living entities. Manus are also conditioned souls. They are actually created by Lord Brahma, and they have, Bhagavatam describes, a very, very long duration of life, and they have tremendous responsibilities. So the whole, as mentioned here, the whole purpose or the whole idea is to become tuned in, to become in sync, synchronized, to become synchronized with what is going on. To become aware, to become conscious. That's what Krishna consciousness means, to become conscious of the, we could say, universal plan of the Lord. A Vaishnava, a devotee, is that very, we could say, fortunate personality who, by the mercy of the Lord, by possibly performance of various pious activities in for a long period of time in previous lifetimes, gets the chance or the opportunity to come in contact with devotees with this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, and begins his journey, actual journey of reconnecting, to reconnect with reality. Reality is what is in the category of Sat. There is Sat and Asat. Therefore, Asat Sangha Tyaga e Vaishnavachar. Asat Sangha Tyaga, to give up, to break away from everything that is Asat, that is meant to be the special feature of those who are Vaishnavas, because Vaishnavas are, in knowledge, have this opportunity to know the difference between what is Sat and what is Asat, what is Pravriti Marga and what is Nivriti Marga, what is authorized, what is not authorized. So Asat Sangha Tyaga e Vaishnavachar Stri Sangi Eko Sadhu Krishna Abhakta Ar. These are the three aspects which are pointed out as being binding, as conditioning us, as binding us in the material world. Stri Sangi, the association with women. Of course, in this context, it means association with the opposite sex. What it actually means is attraction to material sense gratification. Yeah, Stri Sangi. Then Asadu, those who are not devotees, those who are non-devotee means one who is in the enjoying spirit. Materialistic people, they are in the enjoying spirit. Because they only know about this, their body, the material world, and naturally they are seeking to be happy. That is, Prabhupada describes it as the birthright of all living entities. Because that is our nature. So Sri Sangi Ekasadu and Krishna Abhakta are. Krishna Abhakta. There are many people who are bhaktas of this one or that one, but if one is not a Krishna bhakta, then we should be cautious in our association with them. We can associate with them with the purpose of gradually introducing or helping them to understand about Krishna. That is an integral part, the essential part of actually becoming awakened, of becoming fully conscious, fully. That's why Prabhupada was not satisfied, as it was suggested by some of his early associates when he was in New York. Prabhupada was not satisfied and did not accept the proposal that was made to him that you should call your society the International Society for God Consciousness. No, people should know who is God. It should be International Society for Krishna consciousness, isn't it? Yeah. So there's a difference between God consciousness and Krishna consciousness. In that, if we, of course, it's very good to know and to believe and to accept the existence of God, but the higher level, the perfectional level, is to know, well, who is that God, and what does He want me to do, what I'm supposed to do, etc., like that. So Bhagavatam, in particular, is that literature that that gives us that opportunity to fully become conscious, Krishna conscious, and that's also actually in the first canto. Now we're in the second canto. In the first canto, chapter Divinity and Divine Service, that very nice verse whereby it is explained, very nicely explaining the procedure, the process, the manner in which we can gradually come to that point of becoming fully Krishna conscious. And that is only possible when we at least come to the mode of goodness, and then by coming to the mode of goodness, we can understand about bhakti, we can take up to the process of bhakti, devotional service nicely. And the more we apply ourselves in performing devotional service, then Krishna from within the heart, this is the title of this chapter here, the Lord in the heart. So Krishna within the heart, seeing our sincere efforts in practicing devotional service, He will reciprocate with us, isn't it? Evam prasanamanaso bhagavat bhakti jogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam. This bhagavat tattva, who is Krishna, who is the Lord, what is the mission of the Lord? Vijnanam, realize knowledge. Krishna will reveal Himself from within the heart to those sincere devotees engaged in His devotional service. So just read again the sentence or the translation. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, formerly, prior to the manifestation of the cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Rupa, regained his lost consciousness by appeasing the Lord. Thus he was able to rebuild the creation as it was before. It'd be interesting to find out. We'll read in the days to come if there's any mention of. It's like the Virat Rupa is something material. So Varnashram Dharma is also something material. So whether meditating on Varnashram Dharma can also help one to become conscious. Actually, yes, because it's anything that is created by the Lord, and of course everything is created by the Lord. If we make that connection, then we can awaken our Krishna consciousness. Comments? Objections?
I have one.
You have something, yes?
I want to ask that you mentioned that we mostly hear that Vaishnava says or Shastra says that for the liberation to go back to Godhead,
Yes.
we have to come in this material. So my question is that means it's compulsory that we have to come over here, or like heaven planet?
Okay, the question is, we hear from Shastra that to become liberated, we have to come in the material world.
Yes.
Shastra doesn't say like that.
Mostly time I hear this.
No. The idea, there's a difference between coming in the material world and coming on this planet.
Okay.
Right? This planet is like the smallest actually of all innumerable planets in this universe, and there are unlimited universes as well. So the idea is that we have to come to this planet. This planet, as we mentioned a little earlier, is the ideal place for actually reviving our Krishna consciousness. But we don't have to come to the material world to revive our Krishna consciousness. It's just like, you don't have to go to prison to become a good citizen. If you're a good citizen, you won't go to prison. So a majority of living entities in the Vaikuntha, in the spiritual world, don't come to the material world. Isn't it? Just like in any country, it's a small percentage of people. Of course, in Kali Yuga, probably the majority of people should go to prison because we're all, breaking the laws in so many ways. We are all criminals. But in the similar way that generally a very small percentage of people go to a prison house, isn't it? So similarly, only a very small percentage of living entities come in the material world. The vast majority of living entities, they are called Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated. So when one is eternally liberated, he's eternally liberated. Doesn't have to do anything. But then the question comes, and then why we have come here? So the explanation is given that because living entities, being part and parcel of Krishna, have the same nature as Krishna. Krishna is supremely independent. We are minutely independent. And therefore, some of us, all of us who have come here in the material world, we have misused this independence. We have somehow developed a thought that let me do things or let me enjoy separately from Krishna. And as soon as this mentality or thought enters our mind, then we become disconnected with Krishna, and we come here in the material world. So
demigod also one of the
The demigods, there are 400,000 different species, human species. There are human species in a demigod body.
But they are coming in this circle only, no? Like living circle only.
Yeah, you were possibly a demigod before, or you might become a demigod. We don't wish that you become a demigod because you're still stuck in the material world. But we don't know our past. But we were possibly, we are going up and down. This Bhagavad Gita is explaining. Up and down we are going through different species of life and
Never
whatnot.
hear that this thing that any demigod like he is liberated or he directly go to the back to God.
Generally, demigods come back, or living entities in the spiritual world come back on this planet. Yeah, because the heavenly planets are to live out our good karma. It is possible also, of course. It mentions how those living entities who go to Brahmaloka, then they also get an opportunity, but to go back to the spiritual world. But generally, living entities who get promoted to the heavenly planets, they, by having performed pious activities, not devotional activities, pious activities will give us this chance of being promoted. It's a kind of a promotion, but they're still within the material world, and it is not pure devotional service. Yeah. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Kimarangi. And what percentage now?